You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold Errrything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. Your host star, Wole, myself, and my homie Ray Jeezy, Glenn and Mo are out. What's good, Ray?
That time of the year where we're trying to find some
Yes.
Commanders topics.
Yeah.
Because football season, at least for us, is over.
Yeah, keep it 100 with the folks, dog. This is when you try to be creative with your stories, right?
But you know what? This gives me an opportunity to kind of, I guess, backtrack a bit because I made a mistake on the other show and talking about Bobby Beathard and just honoring his career and legacy. And I mentioned Ernest Bonner. Ernest Bonner was not part of Bobby Beathard's.
Why are you bringing over to this joint?
And watch, I'm just saying, I feel kind of bad because I feel like I need to get that dude his just due because he was so good at what he did. You know what I'm saying?
He was.
I think I sent a group text. Timmy Smith was
Timmy
part of that.
Yeah, so many good.
But
yeah. Go ahead.
Still good stuff. My bad.
No. So many good players came from Bobby Beathard. He drafted well some guys, late in the draft. I think Jeff Bostic was his draft pick too as well. So he had a lot of like good draft picks over his tenure, over his time as the general manager for the Washington Redskins at the time. So he's one of the greats. I mean, we talked about it on the other show, but yeah, look at what he did with like quarterbacks and working with Joe Gibbs. But that's more like Joe. You can make the argument that was more like Joe and his coaching, his system. But in terms of putting the roster and working together with Coach Gibbs and Jack Kent Cooke, the owner, like all three of them working together to have a winning product, I think it's something special. I don't think Jack Kent Cooke was the best owner in the world. If you watch like the Lakers documentary, like Showtime, or what's it called, Winning Time, and you saw Jack Kent Cooke, like how he was portrayed. And I mean, I read a book about Jack Kent Cooke, and I heard he was like the best owner in the world. But working with a guy like Bobby Beathard and Coach Gibbs, helped bring the best out of him as an owner. And brought the best out of them as one as a coach and one as a general manager. So I thought as a unit they were great. Obviously, to me, Coach Gibbs is one of the best coaches ever. And you got to make the argument that Bobby Beathard is one of the best GMs ever. Just what they had in that era. So shout out to him, man. R.I.P. Rest in peace, man. Legacy for this football team will always be. He will always have a warm place in many Washington fans because what he did, and what he helped provide in back in the 80s and early like late 70s, in the 80s, and what he provided for this fan base, and because people still lean on it, right, Ray? Like they still lean on it.
Listen, and everybody is honoring that man at this time on social media, and his stories now trickling out, of course, now that he's passed, just about how he's been and how he's reacted to the recent issues with this organization. Man, I heard he couldn't stand the Snyder regime. I just heard he felt like Snyder ran this organization to the ground. Everything that pretty much he helped to build, Snyder ruined that.
It's so different from how he did things. He wasn't going after like Snyder, even like let's use early Snyder as an example. He wasn't like Bobby Beathard isn't going after like the Bruce Smiths and Deion Sanders of the world, right? He's building a lot of it in draft. He's not really in the draft. It's not all about free agency with him. But back in his time, free agency wasn't like a big thing. You know what I mean? That's one of the reasons why the rumor that like Coach Gibbs left, right? The first time, because free agency started, he saw that free agency was starting to take over. So, and because he's used to building his team in the draft, late draft picks and whatnot. But that was Coach, but that is what Bobby Beathard was about, getting homegrown dudes and working them in this system and building, cultivating an environment to have sustainable success. I'm using your term, Ray. But that's what he was about. And Coach Snyder was about that quick fix type thing. So, I mean, I said owner Daniel Snyder was all about that. like that. Oh, I need it instantaneously. You know what I mean? It's all about, I want to win now, quick. And, having a dynasty doesn't work that way. You got to kind of build it, cultivate it, and grow it. And then that's how you have a dynasty. And Bobby Beathard knew how to do it. So
I guess, well, you know what? Forget it. It's no point even mentioning it. It's a blessing just to be able to honor him. And we were alive for the glory days. I'm wondering how the young people are benefiting from just hearing the stories about when this Washington organization was a winning one. I just say organization because so many people, I even saw today somebody posted, Commanders are still a dumb name. So I
know,
still
man.
can't say.
Look, man, you already know how I feel, so it doesn't even matter.
I wonder how Bobby Beathard felt about the name Commanders.
He
I don't
probably
know if
dumbest.
out there.
He probably thought it was dumbest. You know what? He probably hates the name. Like, let's keep it a buck. A lot of folks hate the name. Like, you see the dumb mascot they got? Come on, bro. Like,
now, here's what I want to ask
come
you
on.
real quick. I'm sorry.
No, we good, man. We having fun, man. This is what we do. This is what we do.
This is our platform, so we gotta have fun. How are they going to honor him next season? Are they going to screw this up?
I mean, probably so. I mean, depending on like
you can't mess this one up. I'm sorry,
dude. You messed up Sean Taylor. What you mean you can't? You can mess up Sean Taylor. You can mess this up. No, if you mess up Sean Taylor, you can mess this up. Like, you can make the argument that in terms of the fan base, that Sean Taylor is probably more popular than Bobby Beathard, and you messed that up. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can mess this up. Like, you can mess this up. Like, I would say this though to your like, depending on who's
new owner
next, new owner. But see, a lot of people put it on the owner. Like, it is the owner's fault too. But I just think the people in the office, they don't get it. They don't get it when it comes to
Jason
this.
Wright is probably part of that thing.
I think he's part of it. I'm sorry. Like,
a lot of people give a pass.
I know. I don't give him a pass. I don't. I just feel like you should know the temperature. If your owner was like, this is what we gonna do, then you jump and say, nah, we can't do this. Like, you know what I mean? And you let it be known that you were part of it. Like, you didn't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? So, nah, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not. I think they've messed up a lot with some of the stuff that pertaining to Sean Taylor. So that leans me to, because I know that, bro, we know this, though. We know that, like, the owner loves Sean Taylor. Like, he did, like, he loves the family. Like, the family likes him too, right? And it's been messed up, like, twice. To me, I'm put like this. To me, it's been messed up twice. I think the family kind of they don't have an issue with the mannequin or whatever you want to call that. But I feel like those dudes in the front office, like, they need to do better. They need to understand. They need to feel the temperature of the fan base. Put it that way. I don't think they understand it. And Coach Rivera too. Like, Coach Rivera, right? They ain't vibing the temperature of the fan base. That's what all I'm gonna say. They're not vibing the temperature of the fan base.
I was there that day. It was the Falcons game, right?
Yeah.
I was there, and I felt like I told you. I came on the post game show. I said I felt like it went well overall. It's just the mannequin wasn't received well. So they kind of, I guess, improved upon their approach the second time around, but they still botched it. So now you made a few mistakes. Yeah. You cannot mess this one up.
You can't mess this up. You got to learn from your mistakes. But again, I would say you didn't learn from, like, what's it, Sean Taylor Day? Like, you didn't learn from that one? Like, I'm just saying, like.
Well, I'm guessing what would have been months or maybe even longer to make an actual statue. So that's why they didn't want to do it.
We'll see, man. I'm just saying, we'll see. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. They're interesting, man. Like, this whole regime is interesting. But again, when you're a new owner, who's to say, like, all these individuals in that office will be the same anyway? You know what I'm saying? I think obviously for probably year one, but after that, who knows, man? But hopefully the new owner says, screw this. We gonna put all the money into it. I'm gonna do whatever. Like, I'm gonna do whatever. Like, he puts it on himself and not the front office. Like, he puts it on himself. Or I'm not gonna discriminate. Or she may put it on herself. You never know who can get who can get the job. You never know.
Yeah, it's looking like Bezos and Jay-Z. This is what everybody's talking
about.
Oh,
no. It looks like it's not going to be Bezos and Jay-Z. What, something changed? Did I miss something? Because over the last,
I don't know that.
That's
what
last
somebody
week
told me. You know, I'm out in these media streets. That's what somebody told me. That's the best bet.
I heard the Bethesda dude that's now that he in the league. Everybody keep talking about the Bethesda dude. Yeah, like he in the league.
The Bethesda dude.
That's what I call him, dog. He like to own the he owned like this, like the I want like a hockey team and part of a base. I mean, I don't want to say, was it a basketball team?
So I guess he's going to be majority owner then, because I'm not thinking he's got the money that Bezos and Jay-Z have.
Oh, he got money. He got money. He got money. Like, it's not Bezos money. The Jay-Z, it's Bezos. I don't even like you mention it. It's Bezos. That's the money. No, when everybody mentions it, it's Bezos. Everybody mentions Bezos.
Jay-Z got money.
I ain't say he don't got money. That's what I'm saying. But everybody mentions Bezos. Jay-Z minority. Bezos got is the money. Okay. Like, that's the money. Like, Like that's the thing. Like I'm like, yeah, everybody mentions Jay-Z. Jay-Z's like the sweet. It's sweet for the area, but it's Bezos. Like it's Bezos money. Like, but again, I'm gonna say this though. Like, and then we go on every left to right. We got another topic to discuss. But dog, at the end of the day, Snyder has to say yes. That's why I'm like, Bezos ain't the lead. Ain't about whoever Bezos can give them the most money, but it's on Snyder to sell to Bezos. That's the issue. No, they said like this is what it is. A lot of folks don't think he's gonna sell it to Bezos because of Washington Post ties. Because the rumor came out initially that Bezos was going to sell, but they said no. They debunked that Bezos was going to sell the Post to help him create assets to put a bid for the team. But it's still at the end of the day. That's what I had an argument with somebody. Not arguing, but somebody tried to correct me. I was like, I wasn't sure. I was like, but I was actually right. That still own like it's not a situation when the NFL owners or the NFL can say, okay, you got to get this owner. It's still up to Snyder. So Snyder can say, I don't want you. Like the Post, you own the Post, and they were coming after me. Like, I don't want to give it to you. And you know, all the rumors that the rumors, I don't want to get into it, but you know the rumors were. So yeah, so
respect.
So it is what it is. Hey, but anyway, just thank you for listening to our diatribe about everything Washington Commanders or whatever. Everything Washington Commanders. We were going every which way. We talked about Sean Taylor, Bobby Beathard, Jay-Z, Bezos.
Only reason we went that route is because again they're going to have to honor Bobby Beathard next season. No, yeah, so I just threw it out there. Are they going to screw this up? I'm telling you, if you put it out there on social media, we do a poll, whatever. I guarantee people will say yes. They're going to mess it up just based on the track record.
Yes. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Is go on track record? Isn't that how everybody?
We're gonna turn a new leaf. All right, man. Scott Turner's gone. Things have changed.
The things are. I mean, yes, that's one thing. You got to eliminate something for it to change. So they haven't eliminated some of the people in that front office. So we don't know.
There's your segue right there. Yeah. Scott Turner's gone.
Scott Turner. Hey, yo, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and go to Errrything. Also tweet us at ABG_Errrything and hit us up on IG at ABG_Errrything and like our All Burgundy and Go Errrything Facebook page. Hey, make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Errrything YouTube channel as well. Hit the red subscribe button, like a few of the videos, and I bet you, I can pretty much guarantee our viewership will go up on those videos. So do it. Just do us a solid. All right, man, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll talk about the reports that the Washington Commanders have requested to interview Chiefs OC Eric Bieniemy for their vacant offensive coordinator position. All right, let's get right into it. Sunday, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported that the Commanders sent the Chiefs a request to interview Eric Bieniemy. Also, I mentioned before in our last podcast, NFL reporter Ben Albright said on the Big Douglas show, what's up, Big Doug, man, you listen, that he thought that the Commanders would land Bieniemy anyway. So you hear all these stories. I feel like, you know, where there's fire, where smoke, there's fire.
Smoke, there's fire.
Thank you, dog. When there's smoke, there's fire. So if this happens, is Bieniemy the right choice for the Commanders, Ray Jeezy?
Man, I want to say 100% yes. Mm-hmm. And here's why. You look at Bieniemy's track record. We just talked about track records. With the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know some will say, oh, but he had Kelsey, Tyreek Hill. Oh, the Washington Commanders got some weapons. Yeah. And Sam Howell coming into the draft out of North Carolina, who some consider him to be the best quarterback in UNC history, by the way.
True.
He threw a 59-mile-per-hour pass in the combine, bro. Like just think about that. Just think about the type of arm this dude has. And also, his biggest strength, according to all the experts, including our guy Mel Kiper, McShay, all those folks, is that his big arm, the strong arm, the ability to get the ball downfield. I think Eric Bieniemy would really maximize his brother's potential to throw the ball downfield. To look at the weapons you got again. Yeah. Terry, Curtis, Jahan, bro. Did we not even mention Diami also from UNC? Dude, This team has the weapons. They have the running backs. You got to show up the offensive line. But Bieniemy and Howell together, I think you could mirror some of the stuff that Kansas City did. I think it would be amazing.
I think obviously you don't have Patrick Mahomes, so that's, it's not going to be the most. You can't compare and say he's going to I'm not saying you, just fans in general. If he comes over here, he's going to have that type of success. But I do think, like you said, Brad, I think it could be successful. I still think it could be a successful offense because we've seen what Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid did with Alex Smith. Alex Smith had his best year offensively in the NFL, and people would say, "Well, Alex Smith isn't that good. He's a manager. He can't do this. He can't do that." Well, with the Kansas City Chiefs, he didn't look like a manager. He could air that thing out. So. If you're looking at that, you're going to say Eric Bieniemy is a guy that can definitely you can do some special things with Eric Bieniemy. Now you can hear you may get the argument that a lot of people were saying like, well, Andy Reid calls all the plays. Well, no one ever said that about all the other Andy Reid assistants. Like Andy Reid calls plays. He's been calling plays forever. Like almost in every place he's been calling. I mean, in Philadelphia and in Kansas City, he's been calling plays. But his guys though still tend to do well. Like, yeah, some of them may burn out, but they do well. Doug Peterson is one. Even Nagy, who took the Bears to the playoffs two times in Chicago. You're looking at, trying to think of another, Frank Wright in Indy, took Indy to the postseason with the Colts. These are guys that were under the Andy Reid tree. So at the end of the day, like people only say that with certain coordinators. Scott Turner got a job being a quarterback coach and didn't even do anything. Quarterback coach for the Carolina Panthers, and had a 4 or 5 game stretch in Carolina where he played when he called plays, and they still weren't successful. And he had an OC job in Washington, and some people called him a boy genius. You know what I mean? So Eric Bieniemy has the track record, has the pedigree to be a very good play caller. I think, like you said, Ray, you pair him up with a talent like Sam Howell, who does have talent, who does need guidance, who does need he needs to be pointing the right direction to be a successful quarterback. Eric Bieniemy has touched greatness when it comes to offensive play calling, and he's been in that system for how many years? So he's definitely picked up something. And you add that with I like to call it close enough to Kansas City speed. You got Kansas City is a speed. Their wide receivers are fast. Well, Washington has a bunch of fast wide receivers who can run routes. You mentioned you mentioned Jahan Dotson. You mentioned Terry McLaurin. Those are not just speed demons. These are dudes who run routes, bro. So that's even an added bonus for an Eric Bieniemy offense if he did come over here. Then you mentioned Dyami Brown, who is the Kansas City type of receiver. Like Dyami Brown is the Kansas City Chiefs type kind of wide receiver, a guy that is vertical, like who runs like 4.3 vertical speed, and you see it. It's fast. Like he is that guy. Curtis Samuel is a Kansas City type of receiver, fast, shifty. Like he is that type of dude. You think if Pat Mahomes had a Dyami Brown and Curtis Samuel, you would probably know who Dyami Brown is, and Curtis Samuel will have crazy numbers. You know what I mean? Look what they did with Tony, that was with the Giants and went to Kansas City. He's putting up numbers in his short stint over there in Kansas City. So to me, there are weapons on this team with the Sam Howell combination with Eric Bieniemy that could work, and it's something that stood out to me with Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not comparing Sam Howell to Patrick Mahomes, but there's something that needs to be said about how easy Andy Reid and his staff made things easy for Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes stated, in his earlier days in the league, that he didn't know how to read defenses. Like he couldn't read defenses. You know what I mean? So which told me that Andy Reid and his team made it easy for him to find open receivers. That's what you want for a young quarterback. You don't want them to overthink. And if you can get an Eric Bieniemy here who could work with Sam Howell, won't have him overthink, having to worry about, all right, I got to go here. All right, what are these defenses going to do to me? If I can cultivate a system where he doesn't have to, he can ease his way through that process. Shoot, this is a winning situation. I think that if Eric Bieniemy came here, man, it would be amazing. I think it would be the perfect fit, bro.
I also feel as though when we go back to talking about sustained success, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not bring in somebody who's been to multiple Super Bowls, multiple conference championship games? This is what you want to be in your organization, to guide your young quarterback and teach him how to play playoff football, winning football, and how to prepare for these big moments, because Eric Bieniemy has done it time and time again. I just feel like that alone will say to me, I want to bring this guy in. Like you talked about Scott Turner. No offense to him. I'm just saying, you compare the two resumes, Eric Bieniemy, you would take that any day.
Yes.
And if Scott Turner got the opportunity to not just become a coordinator, but also he had a chance to right the ship because some other organizations probably would let him go.
Yes.
So Eric Bieniemy should come in. Maybe he doesn't set the world on fire his first season, but give him time. I don't know if he wants to still be a coordinator. However, another point I want to make is, according to reports, he's having issues with Mahomes, who's rightfully so becoming a diva. He makes the most money in the team, arguably the face of the league.
Yes.
And he may want to get out of that situation and say, you know what, it's refreshing to work with a young quarterback who doesn't have an ego, who's eager to learn, and it's not Patrick Mahomes and not entitled. So I wouldn't be shocked if he would say, you know what, I want to run to Washington. And then if you succeed in Washington, you're going to get a head coaching job.
That's what I'm saying. It's done. That's done. It's done. And that's the thing. And there's reports out there that I think Ian Rappaport put out that just to watch out for these two teams, Washington being one and the Baltimore Ravens. Won't lie to you though. If I'm Bieniemy, I like to touch that Lamar quarterback with me. I know
I get that, but look at the receiving core. I would pick Washington.
Oh, yeah, of course. No, I get it. But I always feel like coordinators will always choose like the quarterback. And you shoot, bro. You get Lamar. If you could choose Lamar, I would always choose Lamar. But no, I'm with you though, right? Like, this is the thing, I guess, different from the Ravens job. If you could come to Washington and flip it, like, and make that offense electric, you're getting a head coaching job. Probably in year one, like after, as soon as that year is over. You know what I'm saying? As soon as that season's over, you're getting a head coach's job. And you may be able to get, they may even try to force out the head coach to get so you can be the coach for the team.
Is the rumor that Andy Reid calls the majority of the plays? That true?
Everybody. That's what they say he's a bad interview, and the other is that Andy Reid calls the plays, and people don't trust that he can really do it by himself. That's the thing out there.
That may add to this level of eagerness to want to say, I need to get my fresh start somewhere.
Yeah, I think so.
I can prove myself.
I think it's a combination of both. I think one is that this vibe that he can't be a head coach is real, and they don't want him to be it's a thing.
That's such BS though.
I know, bro.
Because if again, we laughed a few weeks ago about Jeff Saturday becoming a head coach. Straight out of ESPN. They should have made the shirt. Yeah. And then Scott Turner's name was legitimately mentioned. Yes. Again, I'm not trying to bash Scott Turner, but if his name was mentioned in the discussion, then of course,
at the time,
it should be in the
I
talk.
I agree.
Now, McDaniels in Miami, right? He's rightfully so earned his position.
But he was with players.
Kyle. He's when you with those guys who have that reputation, Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, teams are going to look at you. They're going to want you. Same way with Legion of Boom and just other successful teams or regimes that people say, you know what? I want your coordinator. I want Josh McDaniels because he's been with the GOAT.
Yeah.
He was a better.
He got like 2-3 chances, bro. Like
that's what I'm saying. So I just feel like there's something there that is not necessarily fair about how Eric Bieniemy is being treated. And Washington, I think, again, set Washington on fire. And you'll be in one of the best divisions in football right now. They have 4 playoff teams. Washington was the only one that didn't make it, but they were right there up until week 15?
Yeah. 16? I don't like the whole. I hate every narrative that's thrown at Eric Bieniemy. Like, I hate all of them. None of them make any sense to me. Like, okay, he's not a good interview. He's not a good interviewer. I'm trying to figure out what does that mean. Because you got some bad ones. Like, I've seen some bad press conferences after when someone got the job. I'm like, you couldn't have been a good interview. Like, you couldn't have been. Then secondly, like, this whole notion about he hasn't called any plays. You mentioned some dogs. You mentioned some good coaches that when they left their initial team to become head coaches, they weren't calling plays. Like, you mentioned Mike McDaniels. Mike McDaniels wasn't calling plays. That's Kyle. Kyle calls plays. That's Kyle. But no one's out there saying that that's a deterrent for Mike McDaniels, and he did a good job with Tua and whatnot. Eric Bieniemy under Andy Reid, regardless, that's still Andy Reid. He's been in the game planning. He's been around. He's been involved. Like, you're learning from one of the best offensive minds ever in football. And so this whole thing about, oh, he ain't called plays. Who cares? There's so many dudes that you want that haven't called offensive plays. What does that mean? Like, he's gonna run Andy Reid stuff. You'll be fine.
Listening to you talk makes me think about Matt Patricia. If you heard was it Darius Slay that was in Detroit?
Yeah, Slay was in Detroit.
He was?
Yeah.
Okay. And he was one that spoke out and said this dude didn't know what the heck he was doing.
Yeah.
But he got the job based on the fact that he was on Bill Belichick's staff. I'm telling you, either Eric Bieniemy, when I say he, is extremely, extremely nervous, or he just simply does not come up with a convincing enough plan that will drive a owner to say, you know what, I think this guy is the one.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Or
it could be something
because
else.
To me, they can't hold the Mahomes thing against them because I mean, even Chad Henne came into relief and was just fine.
That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody, look, real talk. This is the thing. Everybody that even all right, when Mahomes isn't playing, dudes in Kansas City still able to move the ball when Mahomes goes down. Just saying. That's all I'm saying. Alex Smith, you all bashed Alex Smith. Alex Smith was a manager in San Francisco. In DC, he was like a manager. In Kansas City, he was airing that thing out, had his best year ever under Andy Reid.
He made the playoffs.
Eric Bieniemy. Yes.
My bad.
You say what?
Nah, I ain't saying nothing. I yawned.
So I'm just saying, like, that's all I'm saying. Like, I don't like that argument. I don't like any narrative that comes to that is spoken of Eric Bieniemy. I don't like any narrative about why he can't be a head coach. Now, if to your point again, I'm going back to what you said, Ray, is that the reason that he would leave Kansas, to me, I wouldn't leave Kansas City. That's just me though. But if the beef is real, yes. And then also he feels like he could be respected if he goes elsewhere to be a head coach. Sometimes you gotta leave to get to achieve your dream, and make a lateral move. If he goes to DC, and that offense has been atrocious for has been atrocious for 3 years. Man, actually 4 years, to be honest with you. Like 4 years. Then he turns it around. Like, now they're averaging 25, 30 points. There's two things that can happen. Like, he's gonna get a head coaching job, but there's two ways he can get it. He can get the head coaching job elsewhere, or he can get the head coaching job there. Because that means that you got a proven commodity. Would you rather lose him or Rivera? Or if Rivera can be like, yo, if it's in the pitch, bruh, you can come here, and if you do well, I'll move to the front office. You can be the head coach, because they're supposed to be all boys. Because they all in the Andy. They're supposed to be boys or whatever, because they all cool with Andy. So I'm just saying, like, there's two ways it can go. If this organization really wants him, you know what I'm saying? So,
see what happens. I think it's a great match. I think it's perfect for Sam Howell, and it'll be a great start for young quarterback as well as somebody who's still sort of young in their career and trying to still evolve. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So, I mean, we talked about the connection, but if he did come here, what would be your expectation for the Commanders with Howell and Bieniemy and how the Bieniemy combination?
I would expect more down the field throws, and I would expect improved efficiency in the red zone. Again, based on what we've seen and based on Bieniemy's experience, whether he's calling the plays or not, the Chiefs, they punch that thing in.
Yes.
If you watch them, it's difficult to stop the Chiefs when they get to the red zone. And I know Mahomes was a big deal. I get it.
And Kelsey.
But I just feel like I'm gonna be a broken record. I'm gonna annoy people. With the weapons on this team, this is what the players said this past season toward the end of the year is we have a lot of talent on this offensive side of the ball, but yet we're so vanilla and we're so predictable when we should be scoring. We should be scoring points. And I swear, with the defense, the way they played this past season, they're going to get you some short fields. Yeah. I'm telling you, I could totally see that happening where this team goes from scoring, I don't know what they averaged this year, but easily they should be a 20-plus scoring team because improved red zone efficiency straight up.
Man, I think there'll be a dynamic offense with the combination. You got a big arm quarterback, speed, and you got a guy that's used to calling big plays and and being a part of big plays, right, with that Kansas City offense, man. I just think that she's going to make things easier, man. I think some of the gadget plays that we saw in Kansas City will work here because it'll be in rhythm. It'll be plays that are in rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know I'm gonna get Andy Reid a lot of Andy Reid did a lot of that, but I do think you learn from greatness. When you're around greatness, you learn from greatness. Like you've paid your dues. Like you legitimately paid your dues. Like it's not like for instance, like you mentioned the Patriots, like that tree. It's fair, like they've gotten jobs, but they haven't been successful. So you can make the argument that like, all right, that is just not a successful tree. It just isn't a successful tree. For real, it's Coach B. That's what works. Coach B works. But when you look at Andy Reid, his tree is very successful. You know what I mean? It comes from the Holmgren tree. The Holmgren tree is very successful. Like it's a successful tree. So you can only, we talked about it, right? You can only go off of what we know. Like the resume speaks for itself. So your track record speaks for itself. So Eric Bieniemy, just like all the other dudes, it's more on the side of he would be successful here in DC. So with all that being said, I just think there's a lot. This combination is something that can get you 25 to 30 points because you do have so many weapons. I think you would have to fix the offensive line, but you got a running back, you got a speed back in Gibson, you got 3 wide receivers that can go, like can legitimately go, and you got another wide receiver that hasn't really been unleashed in Dyami Brown that now he's going to have that opportunity because if you watch Kansas City play and how that offense works, they value a receiver like a Dyami Brown. Like I would say, like Cam Sims would probably be more the guy odd man out because the way Kansas City runs their offense, people like Dyami get burned. They like those fast receivers, right? So you're going to get all that speed option on offense. I think it's a perfect situation for him. To be honest with you, in terms of weapons, if he's looking out there and saying like, all right, young quarterback, if I mold him and I get him to be what I need him to be, my stock goes up. Like I'm that dude, you know what I'm saying? So I do think it'd be a great mesh. I think it'd be an amazing mesh. And I think it's an offense that can propel you to compete for the division, not just compete for, all right, where are they going to be at? Like you can legitimately compete for the division, knowing that the dudes you bring back defensively for if it's just 1 year, it's 1 year, but you can compete to win a division because if you're telling me that this Commanders team can now average 25 to 30 points with that defense, shoot, I'm like, all right, you can win the division. Like you should be up there with the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Giants. Like it should be no problem. The issue here is that they weren't scoring enough. And they weren't good in the red zone. If the enemy brings that track record here, I think, shoot, if you're a Commanders fan, you should feel pretty confident they have a great chance to win the division.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree, but it's a tough division, though.
It's a tough division, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just being real, like, if they're scoring 25 to 30.
Oh, true. With the defense, you're right.
With that defense, like, you're going to say to yourself, like, you should compete highly for that division.
That should be part of the pitch. Look at it. We got the defense in place. And Kansas City hasn't always had a good defense.
Yes, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think there's a good pitch there. There's a good combination there. All right. So on Facebook, we posed the same question. Junior Chris said Super Bowl. I'm not saying all that. I mean, I think it'll be a very successful season.
A team you gave one of the only L's to is in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Could happen.
I mean, it could. This one's funny though, because he goes left with this joint.
Okay.
Daryl Beaver said we should get our old team name back. We were talking earlier. That was the first problem making us change our name from the Redskins to the Washington football team, then Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us didn't like it. So I feel you on that one.
I feel you, man. I feel you, Daryl.
But it's not going back. It
ain't going back, bro. But I feel you,
bro.
It ain't going back, man.
I don't like the name of this show. I ain't gonna lie.
It's okay though, bro.
I like the old name.
Me too, man. I do too. I love it. I love the old name.
All skins, everything just flowed.
It was dope, man. It was dope.
All Burgundy and everything is long.
It's long. It is. I like all skins, everything too. But they took away skins. I couldn't like. Dog, they go back to skins everything. Though. If they go back to some type of skins, we going back to all skins though. I'm telling you, I'm cool. Rebrand back. We're gonna do a name change. Hey, on Instagram, commanders.news.net said his expectations are high if they get Bieniemy. I think Bieniemy would be, out of all the options, Bieniemy's the best. I think he's the best.
I'm down. I
Pat
agree,
Shermer, Mo last time was Pat Shermer, but I think Bieniemy. I think he's it. I said I wanted somebody from the like the Sean McVay tree too. But I think again, track record speaks for itself, man. Like, dude, man, like Andy Reid gets dudes, his guys, they do pretty well, man. They do very, very well. I'm just saying he got one dude won a Super Bowl. The same dude, look what he did with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
true.
Andy Reid work it, bro. Mitchell Trubisky had his best year under Nagy.
Nobody's asking for Super Bowl right now. People just want a competitive
playoffs,
team,
man. They want a playoff win.
Make the playoffs.
They want a playoff win, bro. That's what people want. They want one playoff win. That's all they want. They want to make the playoffs. They want a playoff win. That's all they want. You know what I mean? Like a playoff win. That's all. I can't even tell you the last playoff. The last playoff win happened.
Tampa.
Tampa.
Sean Taylor.
Yep. Tampa. That's it. That's the last playoff win.
That was 2007, I think.
Yep. They lost they lost Seattle the following game.
Mm-hmm. That's Todd Collins.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? No, that's the other game, bro.
Didn't Todd Collins play in the Seattle game?
Yeah, that's the other Seattle game. They played 2 Seattle games.
Oh, true.
That's Mark Brunell. Like that game is Mark Brunell.
Okay.
And you said the one you talked, the one that Carlos Rogers dropped that pick was
you're right.
That's Mark Brunell. The other year, like they didn't make the playoffs the following year. Then the other year they made the playoffs. Yeah.
It's been so long.
Yeah, that's the year that Sean Taylor passed that year. He passed the year they made the playoffs. But Todd Collins played that game. The one you're talking about. Yeah, I know. It's been that long, Ray. It's been that long. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, like, but yeah, man, that's all fans want, bro. That's all they want. If they can make it happen.
Bring in Bieniemy. I would love it.
All right, you know it, bro. But hey, this has been a dope show. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and go everything. Ray hates the name, so you already know what time it is, man. It's okay, Ray. They go back to skits, we can change the name. Also, tweet us at ABG_Errrything.
I prefer the name.
And hit us up on IG at ABG_Errrything and like our All Burgundy and Gold Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Gold Errrything YouTube channel as well, man. This has been a great show. Man, hopefully Eric Bieniemy comes on the show. Hopefully we have a next week that it goes down. Well, it won't happen. It has to happen after the Super Bowl, actually. So, you know what I mean?
Countdown is on to if you get Bieniemy, and then next up, the Bobby Becker tribute. Gotta get it right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep preaching it to him. Don't mess this up.
Yeah, we got to get new owner. We got to do order and the order new owner, dog. That's what we gotta kind of get on. New owner, then Bobby Becker, because then Bobby Becker, that shouldn't get messed up. So hopefully it all works out. But anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything powered by the urban sports scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, 4 ages. You dig? Deuces, a mega. Lead us out, big homie.